Hey game designers, in this video we're going to talk about how to prepare to make the legs. So before we can make the legs, we have to make Homer's crotch, which is going to connect to his legs. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and hit frame and kind of zoom Homer out here. And let's talk about how we're going to do this. So let's go ahead and kind of zoom in using our Alt key here and refocusing on his bottom area here. Let's go ahead and kind of recenter everything so that recenter our NURB surfaces in case we don't like where it's at, so it doesn't look symmetrical. So we got something like that, okay? And maybe I'm going to go to the back side and see what's going on here. Maybe I need to move that a little bit. Maybe our reference isn't perfect. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and talk about now back on Homer. Okay, so Homer is relatively spherical on the bottom. So we're going to create the crotch area that's going to go from here on the side view and go to here. Now, depending on the model that you're going to use, either male or female, the crotch might be considered maybe 4 faces from this end all the way to this end, or maybe you decide to do something like 6 faces. I'll recommend a even number, but since Homer is relatively round here on the bottom, I'm going to decide to make his crotch area, let's go 4 faces around. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the front view here, and we're going to go to edge mode, and we're going to click on this edge and this edge. So I'm going to click on this edge and then this edge. Okay, and I'm actually going to keep it on the move tool. Okay, so it's if you have your move tool, that's W, and you hold down shift, you can actually create an extrusion without using Ctrl E. So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to move, and you can see if I hold down shift, it's not just a move anymore, it's an extrude. So I'm going to extrude, let's go downward here. And does it look like I have soft select on? I should not have soft. Oh, okay, I'm on. Make sure you guys are on poly view here. Right now I'm on smooth view. So let's go back to poly view here. So now let's go ahead and go back and hit that shift and go ahead and extrude down. Okay. So once I extrude down, I have the faces created here. I'm going to create these 2 faces, and now I'm going to kind of use the side view here and kind of pull it back. And I'm going to pull it up here. So I'm kind of going to have it aligned to this vertex here. And now I'm going to go ahead and extrude again. So again, all you need to do with extrude is just hold shift while you're in the move function, and you can create another extrusion. Okay, so you can see here that I kind of extruded backwards, and I can go ahead now and use the move tool to move it downward. Okay, so now I created these 2 faces. So I'm going to turn off our references for a minute. So I'm going to just go and click H and turn off the references and give you guys a really close look at what we created so far. Okay, so I'm going to use perspective view. Okay, so you can see this is where kind of the bottom part of the faces of his bottom area is, and now you can see the 4 faces that we created. And now you start noticing that the faces are starting to kind of curtail inward, and this is going to cause us a problem later, and I'm big on symmetry. So what I'm going to do is kind of zoom in here using perspective view and kind of zoom down here, and I'm actually going to make this nice and vertical, kind of like how we did our arm sockets, and keep it nice and vertical. So I'm going to go ahead and go to vertex mode here, and I'm going to click on this vertex and this vertex and look at the coordinates here using my modeling tool. And I can see that these 2 have opposite x values, and what I'm looking specifically for is the z value. So the z value is 0.02, where on this one it is 0.17. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 0.03, or maybe change everything to 0. Let's go ahead and change everything to 0 to make it really nice and round. So I'm going to change all these z values to 0. Go to this point, change the z value to 0, and go to this point and make the z value 0. And now you see that the bottom of his crotch is nice and vertical, so that now we're not going to have too much issue when we keep extruding. Okay, so this is kind of a tip to that when you extrude these edges, that you're not going to have some weird shape at the end of it. So I'm just going to go back and click on edges now. I'm going to click back on the two edges that we were working with here, and I'm going to go ahead and do another extrusion. I'm on the move tool already. I'm just going to hold the shift key down and go ahead and create an extrude. You can see my extrude button open. So I'm going to extrude it horizontally first. And now I'm going to adjust it up a little bit here. So once you extrude it, now you can just use the move tool and kind of move it where you want it. So again, I'm kind of aligned this vertex with here. So I'm going to align this vertex here. And now I only have two more faces to create. And here's a good opportunity to teach you a new tool. So I have these two faces, these two edges selected. If I hold shift and click on this edge and this edge as well. So now I have these four edges selected. I can use the bridge tool and it will create the faces for me. Okay, so now I have this lattice that kind of goes across here and creates Homer's crotch. Now the problem with this is that I didn't really shrink or scale the crotch as it goes down to create that curve that you need to kind of put in the legs. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to click on this face right here, and I'm going to click on these two faces. I'm going to click on the R tool, and I'm just going to kind of scale it down a little bit. Okay, as I'm pulling in now, you can kind of see us forming that crotch area. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use the rotate my camera a little bit. I'm going to click on these two. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of pull it inward here. Okay, and I'm going to click on the last two edges here. I'm going to pull down and kind of create a nice lattice for the legs. Okay, and there you have it. That's going to be our crotch area for Homer Simpson. Maybe later we can maybe decide to maybe even make it a smaller crotch. Let's actually make it a smaller crotch. Just because we know we're going to have cylinders for the legs, and the more round you have it, the less deformed it's going to look. So I'm actually going to go back and do the whole process again. I'm going to click on these two edges. I'm going to get it really nice and tight here. Okay. I'm going to click on the last two faces here and just pull it in a little bit. Okay, and now kind of look at our hole for our legs, and our holes for our legs are much more round, so therefore when we go ahead and merge these, it's not going to look as deformed.